This month marks 34 years since the Pan Am 103 disaster. The flight was bombed over the town of Lockerbie, Scotland. All 259 people on board were killed. 11 people were killed on the ground. 190 of those passengers were Americans. 35 of those Americans were Syracuse University students coming home from a semester abroad. The suspect is now in custody more than 30 years after the attack. Today, we took a look back on the day of that disaster and the people lost from the capital region. Phil Bailey reports.
Nervous parents and family met passengers deplaning in Albany last night who were oblivious to the close call they had. Kelly Fraser of Menands got on another flight leaving England at about the same time. Syracuse exchange student Kim Marks of Clifton Park didn't know her roommate was dead until she landed in Albany. Kim flew Pan Am out of London just before the ill-fated flight. Wendy Lincoln is described as that girl in high school who had everything: intelligence, co-captain of the cheerleading squad. She was lost on Flight 103, and North Adams, Massachusetts is numb. Wendy was a 23-year-old graphic design student at Syracuse.
Because of Wendy's ambition, motivation, youthful intelligence, she's just one of the most beautiful people I've ever had the pleasure to know.
North Adams is small. People know where Wendy worked, and this morning recognized her face on the front page of the paper.
If this was an act of terrorism, it's really struck in small-town America.
And they won't easily forget the plane that was never met. Phil Bailey, News 13, North Adams, Massachusetts.
And she wasn't the only person from our region killed. Joe Moskowitz reports.
Christopher Jones was also a Syracuse student. His death represents a second tragedy to hit his family this year. His sister died of diabetes while on a trip to Ecuador.
He just loved sports, and he also loved writing. That's why he went to Syracuse, because he knew they had a strong program, and they offered just what he was interested in.
There are other stories to tell, including that of Lynn Hartunian, an Oswego State student who is returning to her home in Niskayuna for the holidays. Edgar Eggleston III of West Glens Falls, a member of the Air Force, was flying home to see his terminally ill mother. Jason and Eric Coker moved to New Jersey, but they went to Greenville Central. And the North Country village of Crown Point is shocked over the loss of Eric, Bonnie, Stephanie, and Brittany Williams. That family was wiped out 6 miles over Scotland. Joe Moskowitz, News 13 Tonight.
A year later, families of the victims traveled to a memorial for those killed and mourn weddings and memories that will never happen. Phil Bailey reports.
Okay, this is blanket I made.
Eleanor Hudson showed us the blanket she stitched for her 16-year-old daughter Melina last week.
And then I will put pearls. Actually, my symbolism in the pearls is like they're like a wedding dress.
For the wedding Melina will never have. She was killed in the bombing of Pan Am 103 a year ago today. Today in Lockerbie, Eleanor Hudson and others who lost loved ones filled with sand luminaries made by Melina's classmates at the Albany Academy for Girls. They were burned at a ceremony tonight at Drysdale Cemetery. Earlier, a marker was unveiled there, a gift from the American families who lost loved ones to those in Lockerbie. Those who traveled here from the States did so under a State Department advisory, warning of possible new terrorist activity during the holiday season.
The State Department warning last Friday.
Did it scare me?
Scare you?
Absolutely. If we didn't have these candles, we wouldn't have come.
Ironically, they came to remember the anniversary of the day their worst fears came true. Phil Bailey, News 13, Albany.
As the suspect moves through the court process, of course, we'll keep you updated on air and online. For more of our News Vault coverage, head to our YouTube page. Opening News Vault 13, I'm Rachel Teedy.